R. Sugaraj Samuel. He is working as a professor in physics at New College, Chennai. He is also training students for IIT JEE, AIEEE and BIT SAT. He has more than 16 years experience in both teaching and research. He has published a book titled The Complete Handbook of Bachelor of Electronic Science Practicals, which is prescribed for the syllabus for BSc Electronic Science by University of Madras. He has presented papers in several national and international conferences and has also conducted many training programs and workshops to motivate energetic students. His research areas are ultrasonic, polymers, crystal growth and photovoltaic systems. He is experienced in both regular classroom teaching and online teaching as well.
Welcome to UGC lecture series in BSc Honours in Physics. We have been listening to a series of lectures on the topic oscillations and waves. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about the coupled oscillators, especially N-coupled oscillators. Let us see the session outline before we start today's lecture. In this lecture, we are going to learn the concepts related to N-coupled oscillators, the normal modes of N-coupled oscillators, importance of N-coupled oscillators, the coupled and forced oscillators. For coupled oscillators, we very well know the equations are to be formed for each of the vibrating or oscillating object based on the force equations, and accordingly we have to develop the equations with general coordinates and then try to obtain the normal modes of oscillations. We have done even one such case for a coupled oscillator with 2 degrees of freedom. Let us recapitulate the concept which we have already learnt for 2 degrees of freedom and try to learn some of the important points from it. We have to bring them back to our mind so that it could be extended for N coupled oscillators. That means the coupled oscillator with N degrees of freedom. In short, we call it as N coupled oscillators. For N degrees of freedom, we may have to develop a kind of methodology which would easily bring out the results or the answers. We call them as eigen values. Let us see one by one. Before that, let us recapitulate what we have learnt for the coupled oscillators with 2 degrees of freedom. The results of our study of the coupled harmonic oscillator problem resulted in a number of different observations. These are the observations. The coupling in a system with 2 degrees of freedom results in 2 characteristic frequencies. The 2 characteristic frequencies in a system are pushed towards lower and higher energies compared to the non-coupled frequency. As I have mentioned, the 2 frequencies are possible for 2 degrees of freedom. Now, we are going to develop on that line for coupled oscillators with N degrees of freedom. What we have done for 2 could be extended for N in the same line, but the methodology we adapted for 2 degrees of freedom was done as we used to do for the uncoupled case, like we have to write the force equation and then we have to solve the equation for frequency, and at one point we will have to prove that it is harmonic oscillator and we compare the equations to pick out the frequency of oscillation. But to make the methodology easy, we are going to adapt a new technique which we have already done for 2 degrees of freedom also, but in depth we are going to know some of the facts that we have simply followed for the earlier case. Let us see what the case we are going to use. It is called Lagrange's equation. The evolution of the system can be described using Lagrange's equation. Consider the following is the combination of the kinetic and potential energies. The difference between the kinetic and potential energy represented as T and U respectively here is called the Lagrangian. What is the importance of Lagrangian? For the 2 degrees of freedom case also, we simply use the Lagrangian at a point of time, but let us try to learn a little bit more about what is Lagrangian. As I have shown you here, it is the difference between the kinetic and potential energy at a point of time in a system. L is equal to T minus U. T stands for kinetic energy and U stands for the potential energy. We have been using the mechanics called the Newtonian mechanics. We need to find out what is the resultant force acting on a oscillating object and then write an equation for the net force. If the net force is not existing, it is 0, then the body will be either at rest or in uniform motion, and if there is a resultant force, the body will have a acceleration. So, this is the development we had for the Newtonian mechanics, but this Lagrangian is a little higher level mechanical case. It is a mechanical tool which is used for solving complicated mechanical systems. With this Lagrangian, we can write an equation called Euler-Lagrange equation, or it is simply called Lagrangian equation. We are not going to discuss more about the Lagrange equation, how it is obtained, what is the importance and all that, but let us know a little bit of the Lagrangian so that it could be used for the n coupled oscillator case here. Of course, at one point the results obtained from Lagrangian formation and also the Newtonian mechanics will result in the same only. We will get the same frequency of oscillation or the same displacement, same velocity, all the results that we expect will be the same when we implement both the cases, like namely the Newtonian mechanics and also the Lagrangian case. But the method of doing with Lagrangian becomes easy when the case is very complicated one. So, let us see the Lagrangian also yields what is obtained from the Newtonian methodology. Let us see what it is. Consider the following is the combination of the kinetic and potential energy. L is equal to T minus U. This is called Lagrangian. For the case of a spring mass system, we can substitute the kinetic energy and the potential energy. These two are very familiar expressions for us. Here the x dot represents the velocity. Here we are not going to write the differential forms of the quantities. Here the dot x dot represents it is differentiated with respect to time. X dot is the time derivative of x, the position. So, x dot naturally gives the velocity. So, to make the representations easy so that we could write even several terms, we are denoting them with the dot. And once we substitute for the kinetic energy and the potential energy which we know, we can write the Lagrangian. And what is Lagrange equation? The Lagrange's equation is given by this relation. Here L is the Lagrangian, dl divided by dt of partial derivative of Lagrange with respect to the position which is taken as the first derivative. So, x dot minus the partial derivative of Lagrange with respect to space. So, this is called the Lagrangian equation. It is called Euler-Lagrange equation. This could be rewritten as shown in the right hand side, and we can write what is the dou L divided by dou x dot. when we differentiate partially the earlier expression for L, we will get that as m x dot. X dot is velocity. So, this will give us the momentum, and one more time we have to differentiate with respect to time, and we get the force. Momentum which is differentiated with respect to time will give us force. So, m a, the a is represented as x dot double dot, and for the term on the right hand side we once again differentiate the Lagrange with respect to x, and we get minus kx, and according to this Lagrange equation, when we substitute for the terms we obtain for the left hand side term and for the right hand side term, we get this equation, which is nothing but the equation we expect from the Newtonian methodology. Force is equal to minus kx. So, both the methods, the Newtonian approach and the Lagrangian approach, result the same, they give the same answers. So, we got the confidence that Lagrangian method can be adapted for solving any problem. As I said, for very complicated systems the Lagrangian will become handy, Newtonian will become very cumbersome. So, that is why we depend on the Lagrangian method of solving the equations. So, for this n degrees of freedom or n coupled oscillation also we are going to use the Lagrangian method, because the results are the same as obtained from the Newtonian mechanics. So, let us try to adapt the Lagrangian method of getting the solution for n coupled oscillator. So, let us see further how the n coupled oscillator is solved with the help of Lagrange equation. For n degrees of freedom, let us now consider a system with n coupled oscillators. We can describe the state of this system in terms of n generalized coordinates represented as qi. Here I is the running variable, it will run from 1 to n. The configuration of the system will be described with respect to the equilibrium state of the system. What is equilibrium state? It is at rest or it is at the equilibrium position. At equilibrium, the generalized coordinates are 0 and the generalized velocity and acceleration are also 0. Further, when we have the Lagrange's equation as we have seen for the earlier case with x, now with the generalized coordinate qi, we can write the Lagrangian with a modified form in this way. The first term on the left hand side will contain the terms that include the generalized velocity and generalized acceleration. What is given within this bracket is this qi. This will give us the generalized velocity. If m is also taken into account, this will give us the momentum, and one more time when it is differentiated with respect to time, we will get the acceleration, and thus equal to 0 at the equilibrium position. So, this term will be 0. Similarly, what is on the second term on the left hand side, that will also give us the 0 value only as it is in the equilibrium position. The Lagrange equations thus tell us this. This is the Lagrangian right now we have. The partial derivative of L with respect to the generalized coordinate qi, that is 0, and when we differentiate the Lagrange, and it is represented here. However, since we know how to express the kinetic energy of the system in terms of the generalized coordinate, we conclude that this is how we include the generalized coordinate for the kinetic energy, where this mass is taking all the masses into account, m, j, k, these are the running variables, and it is taken as the summation. For the potential energy u, we conclude that based on this equation, the potential energy can be expanded around the equilibrium position using Taylor series, and we find this is the expansion done for the potential energy, and that is written in short, and we use a terminology a j k, that is represented here as a term, which takes a much complex form here like this. It is just making us take the value as a easy one. We thus conclude that these are the major simplifications that we do. The equation of motion can now be written with the help of the above equations in this form. And I was showing some of the mathematical expressions which are self-explanatory, and what is the final form we are expecting? We will end up in set of equations, maybe simultaneous equations, which are in the differential form, and thus we will be able to represent them as a matrix form. So, that is what we are trying to get now. See, the index k runs over all degrees of freedom of the system. We thus have n second order differential equations. In order to find the general solution, we try a trial solution that exhibits the expected oscillatory behavior. This is the oscillatory general solution, which is what we are expecting. So, it is a methodology by which we could obtain the regular equation. So, we use that here. With this solution, the equation of motion becomes a very simple one. Of course, this n can run for all the degrees of freedom. This set of equations will only has no trivial solution if the determinant of the coefficient must vanish. See, this is the determinant which runs for the n cross n matrix, which takes care of all the n degrees of freedom. So, in general there will be n different values of the angular frequency. These frequencies are called the characteristic frequencies or eigen values. Right now we could identify what is the meaning of eigen value. For the 2 degrees of freedom case also we have done the same. These eigen values give us the frequencies, n modes of oscillation. Of course, angular frequency omega we get here. So, n eigen values we will get. Will all the n eigen values be the same? It need not be, though we get independently different eigen values. Some of the eigen values will have the same value. The values will be the same. We may not be able to differentiate one eigen value from the other, but for the sake of getting the n frequencies we will get it. So, what will happen if we have some of the frequencies which are same? That condition is called degeneracy. So, let us see further. Depending on the coefficients, some of the characteristic frequencies are the same. This phenomena is called degeneracy. The degeneracy is same frequency with different oscillations, modes of oscillation. So, that is called degeneracy. We can explore much more on that. So, we were able to solve the n degrees of freedom coupled oscillation with the help of Lagrangian. Of course, quite a bit of mathematics was involved in getting the solution, which is just the extension of the 2 degrees of freedom case. Okay. Now, it is time for us to discuss about why should we learn about the n degrees of freedom case, because we do lot of calculations and we obtain the frequency of oscillation which are called the modes, normal modes of oscillation. So much we have done. Why should we learn that? It has got lot of significance, physical significance. We are going to see that now. This is the reason. For each eigen value we can determine the ratio of amplitudes. These amplitudes define n dimensional vector, also called eigen vector. There is a note: the eigenvector has a pure harmonic time dependence. The general solution of the system is a linear combination of the solutions with Qi. Of course, it is only the real part of the solution that has to be taken into account, because that only is meaningful. Now, it is time for us to see the significance of studying the n coupled oscillator. The importance of coupled oscillators. The theory of coupled oscillators has many important applications in molecular physics. Each atom in a molecule has 3 degrees of freedom, and if we are looking at the molecule with n atoms, we have a total of 3n degrees of freedom. So, to study the molecular motion, because in the case of molecules the atoms are all attached with one another with the electrostatic force, in general called as the chemical bond, the bond length and the type of bond. So, all these will result in the vibrations, oscillations, complex movements. So, to study about all those vibrations happening in molecules, we need to have the basic understanding of coupled oscillators. Let us take the 3 atom case. Let us discuss it. For example, 3 different types of motion can be carried out by the atoms in the molecule. Translation 3 degrees of freedom, rotation 3 degrees of freedom, and vibration 3n minus 6 degrees of freedom. So, we have the degrees of freedom as far as this coupled oscillation vibration is concerned. That is why we are learning about the coupled oscillators at length, because it has got physical significance. All these molecules put together form materials. There also there are vibrations. So, in solids the lattice vibrations are there, phonons are produced. So, to study about all these vibrations happening in the material, whether it is in the solid state or liquid state or even in gaseous state. So, we need to have the basic understanding of the coupled oscillator to learn about the type of vibration happening in molecules, not only with respect to molecules, the molecules forming the material, even for the general case bulk material, we need to have the basic understanding of the coupled oscillators. That is why we are learning about all this. Just for the sake of example, 3 atomic case, the triatomic case, let us see what are the modes of vibrations possible. To illustrate molecular vibrations alone, let us consider the dynamics of triatomic molecule. See, this is the linear triatomic molecule with 2 atoms attached to a greater atom with mass capital M. These are having smaller mass. So, 1, 2, 3 they are connected in a linear fashion. Of course, these are the bond lengths, they are connected with spring kind of force. And what are the types of oscillations possible? In the longitudinal description, all of them could vibrate the left and right, that is one longitudinal description. Then longitudinal normal modes, these are the modes. See, the extremes are moving to the right, the center one is moving to the left, or the vice versa, the extremes will be moving to the left, the center one will move to the right. That is actually one mode. The continuation can be on the other way. The second mode is the compression and expansion. The central one will remain stationary, the extremes will get closer and they may move away. So, that is the second mode. And one transverse normal mode is also shown. When the central one goes up, the extremes will come down, and vice versa, central one will come down, the extremes will go up. So, these are some of the motions, or only for the vibration it is shown. So, to study about all this, we need to have the basic understanding of n degrees of freedom coupled oscillation. Now, there might be a doubt running in your mind that what is the difference between the coupled oscillator and forced oscillator. When we have the basic definitions for them, the doubt will get clarified. So, I wanted to discuss about the difference between the forced oscillation and coupled oscillation and the difference between them. Let us see what they are. In the case of coupled oscillation, they are oscillators connected in such a way that energy can be transferred between them. the motion of coupled oscillators can be complex and does not have to be periodic. They need not be even periodic in the case of coupled oscillation. That is why in one of the lectures we have seen the motion could be a chaotic motion. Then what is forced oscillation? The oscillators produced under the effect of an external periodic force of frequency other than the natural frequency of the oscillator are called forced oscillator. So, what is the main difference between the coupled and forced oscillator? In the case of coupled, the energy is just transferred between the two oscillating systems. From the external means, energy is not given, force is not applied. In the case of forced oscillation, the energy is supplied from an external source. If that energy is supplied at the natural frequency, then the resonance occurs. All that we have already learned. So, there is a basic difference. Energy is just transferred between them, coupled. Energy is given from external source, it is forced. Then a point comes to our mind, a coupled oscillator also will become a damped oscillation because of the damping factors present. Can a coupled oscillator become a forced oscillator? Yeah, that is possible. See, all the more the cases will become complex. A coupled oscillator can also be a damped oscillation. We can make it oscillate by giving energy from external source. So, that is called coupled forced oscillation. So, like that we can keep on developing concepts one after the other. I think now it is time for us to recap what we have learnt in this lecture. In this session, we have seen the concepts of N coupled oscillators, normal modes of N coupled oscillators, importance of N coupled oscillators, and also the difference between coupled and forced oscillators. Let us test our understanding by answering these questions. What is N coupled oscillator and why should we have to study about it? What is Lagrange? Give its importance. Discuss the normal modes of N coupled oscillators through the eigenvalues. Give the difference between forced and coupled oscillators. So, with this I would like to wind up this lecture. Thank you for listening to the lecture.